Because this is a larger portfolio, we're gonna have to go high level with it.
And I really like, just building off of our last episode, what are some quick checks to decide if it's worth digging in deeper on something for you? Hey, this is something I want to look deeper into.
There you go.
And for some people, it's starting with location.
Yeah.
Some people really want Eastern Canada. Well, we're talking about Eastern Canada today.
Yeah.
That's part of it, but then of course there's the rent, there's the upside. What can we do? Can we finance it? There's all these questions that you might ask to potentially disqualify deals that don't work and focus in more on deals that do. Welcome back to REI Hot Seat. Andrew Hines here with Jacob Campanaro, and we're going to be talking about multifamilies.
Yes, sir.
Big portfolio.
Yep.
I don't know, we don't really talk about that many big portfolios on this show, and but there are some of the viewers on this show that are looking for that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
for those, it'll be something, a case study, and for those who aren't quite there yet, something to, still get you sharpening your analytical skills.
That's it. That's
Okay.
it. So, and because this is a larger portfolio, we're gonna have to go high level with it.
Yeah, we're going to talk high
We can,
level,
yeah.
and I really like, just building off of our last episode, what are some quick checks to decide if it's worth digging in deeper on something for you? Because a deal might be a fit for one person and not for another. So what are your checks that you want to look at that kind of give you that initial, hey, this is something I want to look deeper into?
There you go.
And for some people, it's starting with location.
Yeah.
Some people really want Eastern Canada. Well, we're talking about Eastern Canada today.
Yeah.
Some people are looking west. Some people are looking south. So that's part of it. But then, of course, there's the rent. There's the upside. What can we do? Can we finance it? There's all these questions that you might ask to potentially disqualify deals that don't work and focus in more on deals that do.
You got it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Jake, just high level, what is it?
Yeah. So we're going to be discussing a portfolio I'm taking. I've already have the listing, but it's off market. There's no MLS. It's just going to be a private sale. But it's a total of 6 buildings. It's 120 units out of those 6 buildings, and they're spread across Atlantic Canada. So we have 4 buildings located in St. John, New Brunswick, and we have 3 buildings, located in Newfoundland. Now, the 3 in Newfoundland, one of them is 2 buildings on one property, so it's technically under one address.
Okay.
That's why I said 6 buildings from the beginning. But yeah, so six addresses in total.
Is it actually 7 buildings then? 6
Technically, it's 7 buildings, 6 addresses. Yeah.
And 120 units between all of it.
Correct.
Alrighty. So, talk to me high level about the numbers.
Yeah. So the numbers on this one, we got to keep in mind. Each of these buildings are in a different stage of the life cycle, which is an important thing to know before you go in and look at any building. Right? Why take the drive down there? Let's find out which life cycle everything's in. So, out of this portfolio, we have one building that's brand new construction.
Okay.
Okay, so one's actually brand new. It was built, a year ago, maybe not even. One of them has been fully renovated, so it was a 1980s build, but they went in, they did a new facade on the building, back to the studs, new electrical, new roof, new everything, new HVAC. Like it's basically a new building. They just kept the shell.
Okay.
So that's another building.
So those are the ones, and I just got the spreadsheet up with the different locations, and I just put gross rents against operating expenses against operating income.
Yeah.
Notably, one of them has 400 plus in gross rent, or is showing that. Are those actualized? Those are realized so far, or are those projected?
Yeah. So again, this is where we're going to get into, right? So we have rent rolls. Anybody's welcome to sign an NDA and get access to the rent rolls. You'll see that the income is there. So all of these incomes except for the one is true, and then the one income we're quoting on, which is I believe 133 Woodhaven.
Yeah, that's the one that's 400 plus.
Yeah, and that one's under construction right now.
Okay, and you have one right next door to it to sort of
exactly.
justify its rents.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So so these are all in different life cycles, right, Andrew? So again, we have one that's a new build, one that's basically a new build, fully renoed, one that hasn't been renoed, one that's midway through renos, and then
Yeah.
the two in Newfoundland, we have one that was cosmetically renoed,
Yeah.
and the other one which was lightly renoed. So what
Yeah.
does all that mean?
People are gonna be getting confused
Yeah,
right now.
what does all that mean?
Okay,
right?
so we have varying stages of renovation, but as far as anyone's concerned who would be coming at it from a buyer standpoint,
Yes.
I think you told me off camera there's one that sort of has lift potential at this point.
The one that's not renovated has tremendous lift potential.
And is that
Right?
the one on Jack?
That is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
You look
so
at the photos there. And so why this portfolio is interesting to me, and why a few people I brought it to were in conversation about it, is because it's a bit of a blended scenario here, right?
Mhm.
You're not going in and buying just turnkey, nor are you buying just value add. So you get a very substantial portfolio, 120 units across Atlantic Canada, where there's no rent control.
Mhm.
There's no rent control.
in either?
No.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
so-
Yeah, okay. New Brunswick I knew, Newfoundland I wasn't
Yeah.
completely sure.
And I'll check the facts on that. I don't want to be wrong. If I'm wrong, put it in the comments. But I know New Brunswick doesn't. And so
Yeah.
so you can come into this portfolio and you have your stabilized assets that you're going to buy at a cap rate that makes sense for that, and then you have your value add assets.
So it's sort of a blend.
So you have to look at a blend across the board here.
Yeah, it's a blend. You're assuming like some of these, like, because they're not giving a price on one building. It's like take it all or take all of one province's assets from what you told me off camera.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
we would divide it province-wise, but ideally we'd love everything to go together.
Yeah, so obviously seller's motivation is probably going to be more there with, one package deal.
You got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, looking at this one building, it's showing like a 41% operating expense ratio, which means to me they're probably paying utilities, probably an older building with more maintenance, things like that. Whereas other ones here showing as low as 21.
Yeah. And that's the new build with high efficiency.
Yeah, that's based on.
high efficiency systems and appliances.
So as a
right?
buyer, I may want to play with that a little bit. You can see the one right next door that's already renovated. They're showing a 25%. And as anyone would do on this show, like as we always do, you run your own numbers. It's part of your due diligence.
Yeah, these are seller provided numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody should always run their own numbers and look at it.
Okay, Jake. So I know this is a bit of a sensitive issue because I think you have active buyers right now looking at this. So I've been given the instruction that we're not allowed to opine on price point. But what I will say,
I'll say this, Andrew, and I don't want to be like, hiding things or anything like that. It's an unpriced portfolio, right? So there is no specific price point, right? If you see any of the marketing, it's just
so they're not offering. They're not even asking a price point.
We want the you guys to go out there, look at it, come back to us with pricing, and basically provide us an offer that makes sense for you. Again, because it's so unique. Right, there's some in Newfoundland out in the middle of nowhere. There's some in New Brunswick, and then renovated, unrenovated, new. Right, so
like this stuff in St. John.
Yeah,
I've never been to St. John. Is that nice? Is it a nice place?
Yeah, it's decent.
But I mean,
So
at very least, it's like, is it not the capital of New Brunswick?
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like it would be a more developed town versus there's other stuff that's in lesser developed towns, which are more, we'll call it less diverse in industry. And employers and such. So something to consider. This is a fun exercise then for this one, since we're not going to opine on price point for today's episode for the reasons of Jake having active buyers looking at this. Do this at home. Run some of these numbers so you can see your gross rents, you can see your operating expenses, your operating percentage rate. So for quick math, if you borrow my spreadsheet off of my website, you can kind of just sub those numbers in as whole numbers. Then look at market cap rates, figure out what you would want to pay for it, figure out what you could get financing for it. There's a lot of different things you could do to kind of crunch the numbers and just figure out what is that worth to me, what can I do with it. But Jake, let's talk. What is the value add strategy you see here?
Yeah. So with a portfolio of this size, Andrew, like we have started discussion with a couple different banks.
As like a package deal.
So we're packaging it up right now. I'm working on finalizing a few different numbers. So any buyers coming in should be able to provide them with a financing option, or at least two financing options.
And are you thinking, is CMHC an option here?
I think CMHC is an option now with the new guidelines of CMHC, right? I don't know if you're up to date on it, but
we did talk about it, but I'm not super fresh.
They recently changed it again. Like these
guys
are changing it weekly at this point. But essentially, they're not going to be refinancing construction funds under a 2-year hold. So essentially they want you to have a bridge for 2 years, and then they'll refinance you after that. You can
So
still
the days of being
purchase-
able to just go in and have it in CMHC within a year is
No,
not.
you can still do that on a
but
purchase.
not if you're building as construction.
Correct. They don't want you coming into a bridge, renoing, and then refinancing out with CMHC. If you're doing that, then they do want a 2-year hold.
Before you can do it.
Correct. So you gotta
Yeah.
keep an
But
eye on
most
it.
of these are turnkey, as you've sort of
are.
pointed out. Like, there's only which address is it that would take the renovations? Is that
I believe it's 33, Jack.
33 Jack? So I got that one on the screen here. So that's 1 bachelor, 12 1 beds, and two beds, or sorry, 11 2 beds.
Yeah.
Okay, so for 20,
That's it. Yeah.
24 units. So that one could use some renovations. You can see the building actually beside it. It looks like it's got fresh new siding and.
That's it. That's the
Yeah,
full
yeah,
reno.
yeah. There's
So-
renovations next door,
Well,
so you could do
and
that.
So that's
whole-
the amazing thing.
Yeah.
So you have, for both of the properties, you have indicators of where are
What's
we today,
possible.
and you have an indicator of
Yeah.
if I go reno,
And
what,
what
are
could
my
I
rents,
do?
What am I getting? Like it's a beautiful case study.
Yeah, it's nice to have two buildings side by side for that reason. Yeah, so in this one you can see 259 effective gross income for 33 Jack, and then if you go to the one below, you can see 382.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant difference.
That is a significant upside.
Yeah, so that's the one where you could work the math out on what does it take to renovate these, and what level of renovation do they have in that other building?
Yeah,
Do you
so
know?
35 they did go high end. Right.
So was it like fully gutting the inside, or
Yeah, it
just
was-
back
it
to the
was-
drywall?
It was fully gutting back to the studs, new
Okay.
electrical. Like they
Yeah.
did the 9s.
Unit by unit, or all at once?
They did, I think, half the building at once, and
Yeah,
the other half of
'cause-
the building.
And I asked that because I'm curious about New Brunswick and what you could do. Like,
Yeah.
do you have the flex to just say, "Get out, I gotta renovate"?
not exactly that,
Get out, I
but-
gotta renovate.
In a nutshell, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have a blended structure here. Again, I'm going back to that. And I think a really nice option to acquire this would be a GPLP, right?
So
'Cause you can-
somebody bringing in some partners.
Yeah,
partner
bring
to
in
it.
some partners, tackle this portfolio, because you have a blended approach where you can say, listen, these two buildings are going to give you guys the cash flow every month
Mm-hmm.
to your investors, and these two buildings are going to give you the upside, right? To
Yeah.
give you that 20% ROI or whatever you want your investors to get, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really nice approach that way. That's the groups I'm working with. That's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, and what Jake's sort of talking about is sort of reverse engineering what you can offer for a deal.
Yeah.
Like, if I need to be able to offer my investors this, being realistic about what your expectations are for appreciation and what have you.
That's an exercise we're going through as well,
Yeah.
right? So.
Yeah, you have to work backwards. What do I need to be able to offer? Therefore, this is what I can pay for this. And yeah, this is an interestingly unique kind of deal for us to discuss because
Yep.
no purchase price being offered or being advertised.
Which
Yeah,
it's not that strange, and
yeah. I've heard you say that before.
well,
Yeah.
no, it's almost every portfolio sale. It's almost every building.
So they just say,
go
come
look
up.
at anything from one of the top commercial guys. They
Yeah.
will never price it.
Yeah, just say, come
They
bring
never
us something
price
that
it.
makes sense to you.
Run your numbers, man. Do your job, right?
Yeah.
Go check it out. Come to me, and you let us know where you're at with it.
Yeah.
Within reason. And if you need help with some guidance, call
Yeah.
me. Put a link or go to the link below, and I'm happy to give some guidance on it and discuss numbers, give you access to the data room.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff. But there's so many facets to this deal that it's hard for us to say, this is the number and this is how you're going to acquire it,
Mhm.
right? When
Yeah.
there's probably 20 different ways you could acquire this thing, so might be 20 different numbers. And that's the reason why I'm not pricing it, right? That's why it's going to go out at $1.
Yeah, so just going back onto our screen share, I'll do this one last time. Going out at $1. I always see that on Facebook Marketplace. People advertise something at $1.
Yeah.
Like, you're just clickbaiting me. Anyways, okay, so basically what we're talking about, a hypothetical / sort of as is gross rents of 1.7 million for a 1.2-ish operating profit. And that's really what people are looking at. They're starting with that, figuring out what that's worth, but then also looking at built-in upside, ability to add upside, and then how you can structure it and what you need to be able to offer if you're bringing in a joint venture partner or a GPLP where you're bringing in multiple partners. a good exercise, something we could dig into on its own episode. Probably too much for today, just given how long that would take to go through. But Jake, any other? Actually, I did want to make a comment about this. What I noticed with commercial is like the NDA is all over the place, so you have to just sign a non-disclosure agreement to get the detailed numbers. Very common in my experience. Anytime I wanted to see numbers, I had to sign it.
Yep.
I'm assuming most of your clients are very used to that.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
The NDA, everybody has them.
Yeah.
I find they're becoming more popular, even with the residential agents. Like, I'm not saying you sign an NDA to go look at a house, but anything with sensitive numbers, anything with
where they're sharing their exact numbers. It's for obvious reasons. Like anytime I'm selling a property, I want to give it anything. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want you in my business.
But it's a give and take, right? Because you have to give the numbers.
Yeah, in order for people to be
because
interested.
The more info and the more numbers you can provide somebody, the more likely they are to actually bring an offer that they can close on.
That makes sense, right? If you don't, if your seller doesn't provide anything, then you have nothing to go on.
It's almost impossible to work on, right?
Yeah.
So it's this give and take where you have to decide what you want to do. So that's why we use NDAs, right? It's a non-disclosure. Essentially, you sign it.
Yeah.
It just says that you're not going to share this, put this on Facebook.
Yeah, you're not going to go post it on Facebook. Yeah.
And that's the main.
Or make a YouTube video going through all the numbers like this. That's why generally, like, I usually don't even share addresses just for that reason. But anyways, any other thoughts before we wrap up for today?
Yeah. So again, this one's a little bit more complicated to try to dive in and do numbers in detail. We'd be here all afternoon because again, there's 6 properties, 120 units.
And the due diligence period would be long. Like, say you tied this one up, you would probably have a fairly long due diligence period, just confirming everything, and then closing the deal, kind of thing.
I'd say 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, 30 days is actually a long time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're working on it constantly, asking for stuff.
Again, it depends on the offer structure, and we talk about this constantly, Andrew. Right?
Yeah.
And this is actually a really good topic for this. We always talk about how different deals warrant different structures.
Yeah.
Right. Different structures have different purchase prices.
Yeah.
So there's no one way to acquire or one purchase price to acquire at. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We always want to see, okay, well, what's your strategy? Like, how do you want to acquire this? Is there a VTB involved?
Mm-hmm.
Is it cash? Is it right? And then from there we can decide how to work this backwards. So, and many people will know when you go to the link below and sign up for a conversation with me, one of the first questions I ask is like, well, what's your acquisition strategy?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not, I don't mean to say that to disqualify or qualify people. I generally want to know, what is your acquisition strategy? What is your thoughts on how to acquire? Where is the capital coming from?
I'm bringing in money from here. I'm raising it.
And again, sure, qualification, not qualification, whatever. But it's. I want to know how we can structure those offers and how we can represent those buyers the best.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the realtor's job. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, big thing the realtor is doing on the buyer's side is like selling your offer to the selling agent, right? Yeah. Like, and vice versa. Like you want to prove that the people you're working with are legitimate and can really actually close. Yeah. Hey, it's worth tying up the building with them because, and you kind of tell them the story.
That's it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys, if you made it this far, make sure you like, subscribe, notification bell. Maybe share this episode with somebody you think it could help. Thanks as always for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew.